Hi, my name is David Marin, and I am an applicant to be a 5 tutor for the 2024 AP exam season. I am a senior from Miami, Florida, and today I will be talking about a topic that I was able to explore while studying international relations, and one that pertains strongly to my home region of Latin America, which is the oscillation of the Latin American political sphere from the late 20th to the now 21st century. Since the inception of the 21st century, an oscillation within South American regimes has become a very noticeable phenomenon to the point where a term has been used to coin it: the pink tide. The pink tide is a term used to describe the shift of South American regimes to the political left, contrasted by conservative waves to the right. Many argue that this is not a one-time phenomenon, and it occurs in waves, the most recent instance being between 2018 and 2023, and before that between 2009 and 2011. To completely understand this phenomenon and its effects, one must first look at how it began. Many credit the inception of the phenomenon to the election of Hugo Chavez on December 6, 1998. Chavez was the first long-term leftist leader in South America, supporting an ideology of socialism in the 21st century. Venezuela's shift to the left made Venezuela the trailblazer in the pink tide phenomenon, because by 2009, the grand majority of South American countries had leftist regimes. Through the early 2010s, leftist parties dominated South American politics, as many pursued a closer relationship and broader connectivity under similar ideologies. In South America's most powerful nation, Brazil, the concept of pink tide was further solidified with the respective election and re-election of Dilma Rousseff. In Uruguay, center-left President Tabaré Vázquez was replaced by an even more left-wing president, José Mujica, in 2010, and in Ecuador, Rafael Correa also remained true to the trend with his re-election in 2013. This is quite odd. It would seem that South America's 88% Christian and Catholic population would be very hesitant to vote for the left, as most of these people hold traditionally conservative values, such as those against LGBT community and abortion. However, if there is one thing we need to take away, it's that economic value far offsets moral value. This in turn caused a unified shift in ideology, and soon enough, the prominence of the left would begin to fall in South America as these policies began to fail. By 2018, the pink tide phenomenon was beginning to be counteracted by a new blue tide, or conservative wave. Many of the South American leftist leaders of the first pink wave failed on delivering on their policy promises or became surrounded by corruption and scandal. Brazil, as a trendsetter of the blue-pink tide oscillation, saw this with the fall of President Dilma Rousseff in 2015, following her corruption scandal. By 2018, an extremely far-right congressman, Jair Bolsonaro, took office and solidified the downfall of the pink tide. Most famously, the collapse of Venezuela's economy and pink tide policy did this as well. Venezuela, following the fall of oil prices, saw one of the worst hyperinflation cases in history, with the devaluation of its bolivar at a breathtaking 53 million% between 2016 and 2019. As the Venezuelan economy collapsed, many fled to the other countries, such as Colombia and Peru, exacerbating the blue tide in South America by bringing the negative effects of the pink tide policy to their doorstep. As a result of the ideological shift, much of the supranational progress made in international relations between South American nations was ultimately reversed. But as soon as the conservative regimes began to take charge, the economic need began to take precedence once again, leading to a second pink tide. The second pink tide is quite an interesting phenomenon in global politics, as it was not truly triggered by a single event or movement, but instead by broader need. The rise of the second pink tide has been characterized by countries that did not even follow the first pink tide, such as the chronically conservative Colombia. Colombia worked under a broadly right-leaning regime since 2002 under President Álvaro Uribe and his puppets, but in 2022, this all changed with the election of Gustavo Petro, Colombia's first ideologically left president. Brazil, Peru, and Chile also followed with the subsequent election of Lula da Silva, Dina Bolanger, and Gabriel Boric, respectively. Once again, and quite humorously, South America seemed to be playing a game of ideological ping-pong with its governments and its regimes. Once again, however, many of the new leftist leaders of the second pink tide have already seen large amounts of disapproval, and it is obvious that true change has and will not occur. Some even say that the second blue tide has already happened, with Argentina, who elected its most libertarian and right-wing president of its history, Javier Milei. South American politics of the 21st century is one of the most interesting and cohesive case studies of international relations and diplomacy. The differences between pink tide and blue tide policies are often reversing to each other and hinder economic progress, exemplified by the ideological juxtaposition between ideologically fueled supranational organizations. There aren't many solutions to this broad phenomenon, but one could be found towards looking at the EU. As a broader non-ideological organization, it could give South America the boost needed to propel itself into the global sphere. By disbanding the constraints of left and right, These South American governments could unite in disbanding dictatorial rule and promoting broader economic prosperity. Thank you for listening to my conversation. I hope it enlightens you to think broader in the sense of global politics and international relations.